What is up, my friends? I'm Elijah Campbell here live from the scene of the crime. No Jack Veltri with me today, but I want to take you a walk around Colonial Life Arena, where this is the scene of the crime of South Carolina's second SEC win of the season, and it came in spectacular fashion, and it started on the defensive end of the floor, holding Arkansas to 14 points in the first half and a mere 0.45 points per possession. So Arkansas only made one of their first 17 shots, and for the game, well, they were 15 of 53 and 3 of 22 from three. Most of those threes, mind you, came late in the game when we were certainly in what the French would call garbage time here at CLA. It was a blowout win for South Carolina, with the outcome never really in question, especially from the first part of the first half onward. The defense was fantastic. They were able to play their gaps. They were really good at making sure guys like DJ Wagner and John L. Davis weren't getting to the rim very efficiently at all. And guys like Zvonimir Ivisic, who has been on a shooting tear for Arkansas lately, and really their success sometimes hinges on how well he shoots the ball, didn't play so hot today. 2 for 8 from the field, 1 of 5 from the three-point line. And a lot of that was what Lamont Paris said after the game, was making sure that they had a guy on him at all times, that they never left him too open, because when he's wide open, he's going to hit a lot of threes. And being a 7-foot-plus player, he can get a shot off against anybody. But so they switched a lot of screens. They made sure that he didn't have space to be able to catch and shoot and beat them from deep. So that didn't happen today. It was a fantastic defensive performance all around. That's kind of the highlight of it. And if you look at assist-turnover ratio, Arkansas ended up getting 8 assists, but at one point in the game, it was 1 assist to 9 turnovers. And that put Arkansas in such a big hole that they really couldn't come out of it. Even though Arkansas shot the ball a lot better in the last 5 minutes of the game, at that point, South Carolina was up 30+. That's the type of game it was. But I'd be remiss to do this entire walkthrough, this entire recap of this game, if I don't note how great Colin Murray-Boyles was. This might be his best overall game as a South Carolina Gamecock, and we all know that says a lot given how well he's played this year. Colin Murray-Boyles' final stat line of this game, 35 points on 12 of 16 shooting. He was 11 for 12 from the free throw line, and he also grabbed 7 rebounds, had 2 assists. But the 2 assists doesn't do it justice. He had a couple of what are called hockey assists, where he made the pass to shift the defense around. One more pass was made and they had a bucket. Really, he created, I would estimate, about 8 or 9 different shots for this team. Even if he didn't get the assist, his ball movement was what helped create the bucket for South Carolina. And this is a perfect encapsulation as to what he is as a player, especially when you kind of look to what he can be at the next level. He had 4 steals today too. He was great on the defensive side of the floor. He's great on the defensive side of the floor every game, but today he was hunting his shot, especially early on in the game when South Carolina kind of knew they had an advantage down low, right? I mean, Adu Thero is out for Arkansas. They're a little thin in the front court, and early and often into this game, South Carolina was dumping the ball inside and trying to enforce their will early. I mentioned Zvonimir Ivisic, the hot shooting 3-point big man for Arkansas. Well, isn't necessarily a bodybuilder. So one thing they thought they really had a good advantage of inside was maybe being able to move him around down low. So you saw early in the game, entry passes into the post to Colin, or specifically Nick Pringle, who Nick ended up with 18 points and 9 rebounds in this game as well. And he was also an efficient 7 of 11 from the field, because he was getting the ball on the block, primarily guarded by Ivisic, and just used his body advantage to be able to get to the rim. And he did so pretty easily. There was no rim protection in this game for Arkansas. Even when Jonas Adu was in the game, Jonas Adu, a bigger framed forward, had a really hard time keeping Colin and Nick out of the basket, right? They had a lot of entry passes, whether it be in the post or for Colin on the block, maybe around this area here, a little higher up into the restricted area, and he was able to go to work. It was an all-around beatdown for a team that has had so many heartbreaking losses against great teams in this building. I'm thinking about the close loss to Auburn, 3-point loss, the close loss to Florida, where you led the entire game, an overtime loss to Mississippi State, and then a loss to Texas A&M, where you were incredibly competitive throughout. They weren't able to close those in. They weren't able to take care of business. But on today's game, and against Texas, this is 2 games in a row now in this building, against SEC teams, against teams that need wins to get in the NCAA tournament, Texas and Arkansas both sitting squarely on the bubble and could not afford losses to South Carolina, who coming into the Texas game last week was 0-13 in conference play. They played those 2 desperate teams who were going to come into this building needing a win and dominated from start to finish. And it all starts with how well they played on the defensive side of the floor. It was a remarkable game. And to see South Carolina do this 2 straight games in this building is incredibly encouraging. Yes, ultimately you're still 2-14 in SEC play. You're still only 12-17 overall. But in a season like this, it's good to be able to see results that we've seen these last 2 Saturdays and see exactly what they can do against Georgia when Georgia comes in here and plays Tuesday night, a game that I find to be just as winnable as today's game, right? Even if the matchup might not be the same. Tennessee's going to be hard on the road on March 8th to end the season, but if you're able to continue some of this momentum that you have here in this building right now and be able to carry it outside of this building, then maybe you can give yourself a chance to win a game or so in the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena. It's not going to get you in the NCAA tournament, but when you have a season like this, you will look for anything possible to carry over positive feelings going into next basketball season. So once again, final score, South Carolina 72, Arkansas 53, and don't let that final score fool you. It was never really that close, and that's with that being a 19-point discrepancy. I'm Elijah Campbell. I'll be on air from 3 to 6, Monday to Friday on the post-game show. No Jay Phillips this week, so I'll have plenty of time to opine about this game, react to the Clemson baseball series. We still have a game tomorrow. I know they lost a tough one over at Clemson on Friday night. Haven't seen the final result of today's game, but I'll react to all of that as well. Busy week considering the Carolina-Clemson baseball series wraps up. Men's team gets a big win. Women's team plays here tomorrow against Kentucky. And then the SEC women's tournament starts next week, and the men's after that. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Hope you join us, and I'll talk to you on Monday.